Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this video, I'm going to give an example of question that is related to the idea of composite function. Now, before we go on with this question, let us recall the idea of representation of function. And representation of function can be done in 5 different ways, and I have talked about this previously. If you refer to this slide, you will be able to see that there are 5 ways to represent any given function. The first one is by mapping. So you have the value of x and you map it to y given here, and you can have ordered pairs such as given by this one, where the first position here represents the independent variable and the second one here is the dependent variable. Okay, so for example, this is the idea of mapping. 2 is mapped to 6, 5 is mapped to 15, 10 is mapped to 30, and because this is the value of, you can think of it as the value of x and y, inputs and outputs. So this is x, the position of x, and this is the position of y. Next, you can also represent the function using a table or a graph as shown by this figure here, or also by using an equation. Now let's go back to the problem given here. So in this problem, you can see clearly that we have two functions, f and g, and they are represented using ordered pairs, which means we have the first position here correspond to input value, and we have the output value, which is y. Okay, if you are familiar with the notation x and y, so x is usually reserved for the independent or input value, and y is reserved for the dependent variable or output. Okay, right, so basically I'm just going to explain to you what is the meaning of this -2 and 3. So basically when you talk about -2 and 3 in this manner, so this is the value of x and this is the value of y. So you have function f. So fx is something which you don't know, but it doesn't matter. The thing is, if you substitute x with -2, you will get the result straight away, which is equal to 3. So that is the meaning of this notation here. So in a similar manner, -1, 1 means if you substitute -1 into function f, the result is going to be equal to 1. Okay, so this is the representation that is used for function g as well. Now, having understood the whole idea, we are going to start off with question A. Okay, so for question A, you are asked to find what's the composite function for f compose g of x, where your x is equal to 0. And this can be written as f g 0, which means if you substitute 0 into function g, what is the answer that you will get? So you need to figure out the answer to this one here. So when you substitute 0 into function g, so 0 is the input, so you substitute 0 into function g, the output is going to be equal to 2. So I'm going to write down the answer is equal to 2. Now if you substitute 2 into function f, so 2 is the output, so the answer that you will get is equal to -3. So that's the final answer. Next, we move on to question B. So we're going to follow the similar idea. We have to find what's the value for f compose g of x when x is equal to -1. So here we have f g -1, and basically we need to figure out what's the value of this function g when x is -1 or when the input is -1. So refer to function g, this is the input -1 and the result here is -2. So I'm going to write down the result of g -1 is -2. Next, let's figure out what happened to function f when the input is -2. So when the input is -2, which is this one, the output is going to be equal to 3. So there you go. Question A done, B done, and now we move on to question C. Okay, so for question C, you are asked to find what's the answer to G compose f of x when x is equal to -1, and this can be written as G f -1. So here we need to figure out what happened to function f when the input is -1. So when input is -1, the value of f is going to be equal to 1. So write down the answer. It is equal to 1. Next, we need to find out what happened or what's the output for this one when the input is equal to 1. So we go to function g and we now search for input 1. So this is -3, -1, 0, 2, 3. So clearly there is no input with value 1. Therefore, if you substitute the value 1 into this function here, there is no answer to that. When there is no answer to that, that means this function here is undefined when the value of x is 1. Okay, so I hope this is beneficial to all of you, and thank you very much for watching.